The alien queen asked who will marry me, and only one human answered. Deathworld legends. The sky above the crystal cities glimmered with colors no human eyes had ever truly seen. Towers of transparent light stretched into the heavens, reflecting every hue of the twin suns. Ships from countless star systems filled the spaceways, each carrying beings who had come for one reason: the announcement of the alien queen's search for a spouse. It was a spectacle that happened once in centuries, and the galaxy buzzed with excitement, fear, and ambition. Ilior stood at the edge of the docking platform, staring at the towering spires and the alien vessels around him. He was just a human, a trader from a harsh death world, a world where survival demanded courage, wits, and stubborn determination. Compared to the nobles, generals, and elites who had come to claim the queen's favor, he was nothing. No one had expected a human to answer the call, and Ilior himself was unsure why he had chosen to come. The landing platform vibrated as ships arrived, disgorging beings of all shapes, sizes, and forms. Some were tall and elegant, with skin like liquid metal. Others had wings, horns, or scales, their appearances crafted over millennia of evolution. They whispered among themselves, eyeing Ilior with curiosity and a hint of amusement. He adjusted the straps of his simple travel pack, which contained only basic supplies, and stepped forward. There was no grand title, no ceremonial armor, no weapons designed to impress anyone. Only him, his courage, and a sense of purpose he barely understood. The stories of humans had traveled far, that they were stubborn, adaptable, and surprisingly strong. Perhaps that was enough. The grand hall of the alien queen was a breathtaking structure. Floors of crystal reflected the light of the floating orbs above. Walls seemed to ripple like liquid, displaying scenes from every corner of the queen's vast empire. From the ceiling hung enormous crystal chandeliers, each containing thousands of tiny floating lights that danced in harmony, with the sounds of soft music playing from invisible instruments. The scent of exotic flowers and minerals filled the air, and a soft hum resonated beneath the floor, as if the city itself was alive. All the suitors were gathered in the hall. The queen had arrived, her presence demanding immediate silence. She floated gracefully above the floor, her robes made of living light that shimmered with every movement. Her skin was the pale gold of morning sunlight, and her eyes held galaxies within them. Even from a distance, Ilior felt the weight of her gaze upon him, and yet he did not falter. "Who among you will marry me?" Her voice carried through the hall, melodic yet commanding. Every being turned their attention to the queen. The room was filled with silence, but it was not simple quiet. It was the tension of expectation, the weight of a question that could change the course of history. One by one, the alien suitors shifted nervously. Some exchanged glances, unsure whether they were bold enough to speak. Many had traveled from worlds where their power was unquestioned, yet now they hesitated. None dared to step forward. Ilior felt a heat rise to his cheeks, a mix of fear and determination. He had no illusions about the consequences, yet he knew that if he did not answer this moment, and perhaps the chance to show the galaxy the worth of humanity, would pass forever. I will," he said, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. The hall erupted. Whispers swirled like a storm. Aliens turned to one another in shock, incredulous at the audacity of a human. Some hissed in anger, others laughed in disbelief. The queen's floating attendants murmured in confusion. This was unprecedented. No human had ever dared address the queen in this way. The queen's gaze sharpened, curious and intrigued. Ilior stood his ground, meeting her eyes, and did not falter. He could feel the weight of every being in the room upon him, judging, questioning, and doubting. Yet he also felt something new, a spark of recognition in the queen's eyes, as though she sensed in him a quality no other had shown. "What makes you believe you are worthy?" she asked, her voice echoing softly through the hall. Ilior swallowed and thought carefully. "I do not have wealth or titles," he said honestly. "I am not the strongest or the smartest by your standards. But I have survived where others could not. I face challenges without fear, and I care for those who cannot protect themselves. I am human, and we endure." A murmur ran through the crowd. Aliens were fascinated, unsure whether to scoff or to listen. They had come with strategies, gifts, and demonstrations of power, yet here was a simple human, speaking of resilience and morality. The Queen's eyes remained on him, and Elior felt a strange calm settle over him. The first test would not be decided by words alone. The Queen's challenge required action, insight, and character. She raised her hand, and the floor of the hall began to shift, creating a complex maze of floating platforms, shifting gravity fields, and illusions that played tricks on the eyes. The alien suitors immediately activated their technology, sending drones, scanning devices, and levitation devices to navigate the maze. They moved quickly, confident in their skills, but soon found themselves trapped in loops or fooled by holographic projections. Frustration and panic replaced their initial pride. Elior took a deep breath. He had no technology beyond his instincts and careful observation. He stepped forward cautiously, watching the movement of the platforms, feeling the slight changes in the air as he moved. He remembered patterns, noticed the subtle hints left by the maze itself, and proceeded with patience. Step by step, he moved through the shifting labyrinth. He stumbled occasionally but recovered, learning from each mistake. The alien suitors began to watch him, surprised that a human without advanced tools was advancing where they had failed. Finally, he reached the center of the maze. The Queen's gaze followed him, her expression unreadable, yet there was an unmistakable glimmer of interest. "You do not rely on power," she observed softly. "I rely on what I can see, understand, and do," Elior replied. "I rely on my choices." The second trial awaited. It was not of skill or strength, but of empathy. Holographic projections appeared around the hall, depicting suffering civilizations across the galaxy. Aliens discussed strategy and efficiency, debating which solution would cause the least harm or gain the most advantage. Elior moved among the projections quietly, observing, listening, and thinking. He saw the pain and confusion of those who could not defend themselves, the fear of those trapped in war and natural disasters. He spoke to the projections, offering comfort where he could, finding solutions that were practical yet kind. While the others calculated advantages and logistics, Elior acted with compassion. The Queen watched him closely. She had expected competition, but not this. An unassuming human, showing wisdom and care far beyond the strategic games of the other suitors. His actions revealed a combination of courage and morality that was rare even among the most accomplished alien nobles. By the end of the second trial, many suitors had faltered. Their brilliance in science, strategy, and combat could not match the human's insight into life itself. Elior stood alone, not because he had defeated others, but because he had shown a different kind of strength, one that came from heart, mind, and courage combined. The court was restless. Aliens whispered and debated, some openly doubting the Queen's judgment. How could a mere human, so ordinary in appearance, survive where they had failed? Yet the Queen remained silent, observing Elior with a mix of curiosity and quiet admiration. Later, she led him to her private garden, a place few had ever seen. Here, enormous bioluminescent plants glowed softly in a pool of tranquil water, and floating lights drifted like fireflies. It was a sanctuary of peace amidst the chaos of the court. "Why do you dare come here?" the Queen asked. Her voice was no longer commanding but curious, almost gentle. Elior thought for a moment. "Because I believe that courage is not measured by strength or wealth, because I believe that the right choices matter more than power, and because I wanted to see if a human could be counted among the worthy." The Queen studied him silently. Her curiosity grew with every word he spoke. He described his homeworld, a place where humans were tested constantly by harsh environments, predators, and scarcity. He spoke of survival, trust, and loyalty, not as abstract concepts, but as daily realities that shaped humans into something extraordinary. For the first time, the Queen considered humans in a new light. She realized that the stories she had heard were only partially true. Humans were not just fragile or naive. They were resilient, inventive, and capable of acts of morality and courage that surpassed the most technologically advanced aliens. The humans' presence alone challenged everything the court had assumed. Where others brought titles, wealth, and power, Elior brought honesty, persistence, and compassion. The Queen sensed that this human might not be the easiest choice, but he was the one who revealed the qualities she truly valued. As the sun of the twin suns set beyond the crystal towers, painting the hall in warm light, Elior and the Queen remained in the garden, talking quietly. He shared stories of hardship, of hope, and of humanity's unyielding spirit. She listened, fascinated, recognizing that the simple human before her carried a strength unseen in any other suitor. The court continued its discussions, but Elior no longer noticed. In this moment, the first step had been taken. The human had dared to answer a question that terrified every alien in the room. He had shown courage and heart, traits that no technology, wealth, or status could replicate. And the alien queen, who had ruled for centuries, began to wonder if perhaps the galaxy had underestimated humanity all along. The day after Elior's bold declaration, the grand hall buzzed with tension. Rumors spread like wildfire among the alien nobles. Some whispered that the human had no chance, that his audacity would soon be his downfall. Others argued in hushed tones that perhaps this human had qualities worth observing. The Queen, however, remained silent, her gaze thoughtful, as if weighing every possibility carefully. Elior had slept little that night. Though he had confidence in his abilities, he could not deny the weight of what he had done. He had answered a question that no one else dared to speak aloud, and now the galaxy seemed to watch him with scrutiny. Yet beneath his nerves, there was a calm determination. This was his chance to show that humans were more than their appearance, more than their size or technology. The morning sun of the twin suns bathed the crystal city in gold. Elior followed the Queen into the arena where the trials would take place. The floor shifted into a complex grid of platforms suspended in midair, each glowing with faint energy. Gravity fields swirled around them, twisting the sense of direction. Holographic projections created illusions that could fool even the most advanced alien mind. The other suitors approached with confidence, their technology and skill ready for display. Some brought devices that could scan the maze and create predictive models. Others relied on agility, strength, or intelligence honed over centuries. They were sure that the human would fail within minutes. Elior paused at the edge, observing the patterns of the shifting platforms. His eyes followed the slight changes in the air, the way the light bent around the holograms, and the faint vibrations in the platforms beneath his feet. While the others rushed forward, confident and aggressive, he moved deliberately, measuring each step. The first obstacle was a floating corridor with no visible floor beneath. Many aliens hesitated or fell into the void when their levitation devices malfunctioned. Elior, however, relied on his instincts and balance. He remembered the survival techniques of his death world, where walking across unstable ledges over chasms was a daily necessity. One careful step at a time, he crossed, feeling the rhythm of the platforms beneath him. The aliens who had rushed ahead were now trapped, their technology unable to adapt to the illusions. Some tried to cheat, sending holographic decoys or scanning the environment, but the maze reacted unpredictably. Elior, using only observation and reasoning, began to move faster, yet without losing focus. He solved small puzzles the maze presented, patterns in lights, changes in gravity, and hidden pressure plates that controlled pathways. By the time he reached the center, the first wave of suitors had either failed or retreated. The crowd in the arena murmured in disbelief. A human, without the advanced tools or centuries of training, had navigated the labyrinth successfully. The queen's eyes followed him, and Elior felt an unexpected warmth. He could sense her curiosity, a subtle acknowledgement of his effort. The second trial awaited, empathy and understanding. Holographic scenes appeared around the arena, showing crises across different worlds. Entire civilizations were depicted in peril, storms, famine, political unrest, and natural disasters. The other suitors debated, calculating efficiencies and outcomes, planning strategies that would maximize their advantage or minimize risk. They treated the projections as problems to solve, not lives to understand. Elior walked among the projections, observing the suffering. He saw families clinging together in fear, children lost in chaos, elders unable to flee. He did not see abstract statistics. He saw beings whose lives mattered. While the aliens discussed numbers and probability, he offered practical aid. He manipulated the projections, creating paths for escape, providing tools and guidance, and offering comfort to the holographic victims. The queen observed silently, her interest growing. She had expected competition, but not this. The human's approach was unfamiliar. He combined courage, intelligence, and empathy. It was a balance that no other suitor had shown, a combination that suggested something rare and enduring. Elior's success in the first trial had proven his adaptability. Now in the second, he demonstrated his character. The court began to react. Some were skeptical, believing the trials to be manipulated or biased. Others were fascinated, seeing qualities in the human that their own species often lacked: honesty, resilience, and moral courage. Elior remained focused, unaware of the whispers, driven only by his determination to show the queen the value of humanity. The third trial tested decision-making under pressure. A simulated scenario was presented where a colony faced a sudden attack from environmental hazards. A meteor storm combined with unstable terrain and failing life support systems. Alien suitors relied on intricate machines, protocols, and calculations, but their solutions were rigid. When unexpected complications arose, they faltered. Elior acted differently. He analyzed the environment quickly, identifying which threats were immediate and which could be mitigated. He prioritized lives over appearances or reputation. Using creative thinking and intuition, he guided the holographic colonists to safety, repairing critical systems with tools and resources available in the simulation. The queen watched in silence, recognizing the rare ability of humans to improvise under pressure while maintaining moral clarity. The other suitors were frustrated. Their advanced tools could not match the human's intuition and quick reasoning. Some tried to discredit him, claiming luck or deception, but the results were undeniable. Elior had succeeded where centuries of alien training had failed. His combination of observation, adaptability, courage, and empathy was something entirely different. After the trials, the queen requested a private audience with Elior in her sanctuary garden. The garden floated above the city, filled with bioluminescent plants and crystal waters that reflected the twin suns. It was a place of calm and contemplation, removed from the chaos of the court. "Why did you come here?" the queen asked, her voice gentle, no longer demanding. "I came because I believed courage and heart mattered," Elior replied honestly. "I have no power, no wealth, no titles. Only what I carry within myself. Humans have survived in harsh worlds for generations. We rely on wit, resilience, and care for one another. I hope that might be enough." The queen studied him intently. She had met beings of great intelligence and power before, yet none had approached the challenge with such simplicity and clarity. Elior's words carried a strength that was not loud or imposing, but quiet, steady, and undeniable. She gestured for him to walk among the glowing plants. "Tell me of your world," she said. Elior spoke of his Deathworld home, a place where survival required ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. He described harsh climates, dangerous predators, and scarce resources, and how humans had learned to cooperate, innovate, and endure. He spoke of trust and loyalty, not as ideals but as necessities that shaped human society. The Queen listened, fascinated. She realized that humans had qualities that no technology or power could replicate. They were resilient in ways that were unexpected, able to thrive where others would despair, and act morally even under extreme pressure. Elior's words painted a picture of humanity that was unfamiliar to the alien court, a species capable of extraordinary strength without relying on domination or wealth. The court continued to debate outside the garden. Some aliens could not accept the idea of a human as a worthy suitor. Others were intrigued, seeing that Elior's actions and character were not only impressive but also inspiring. Stories of human ingenuity and moral courage had circulated before, but few had witnessed it firsthand in the presence of the Queen. Meanwhile, Elior walked calmly through the garden, feeling a strange connection to the Queen. He realized that this was no longer a matter of competition. It was about demonstrating the qualities that defined humans: courage, empathy, adaptability, and integrity. The Queen's curiosity and respect for these qualities were becoming evident. The next stage of the trials would involve direct interaction with the Queen herself. It would not be tests of skill or intellect alone, but of understanding, insight, and judgment. Elior prepared himself, knowing that the final steps would require not only courage but wisdom, patience, and humility. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the crystal spires, Elior felt a quiet confidence. He had faced trials that others believed impossible, acted with heart where others relied on technology, and demonstrated resilience in ways that surprised even the most accomplished aliens. The Queen's interest in him was now unmistakable, and the course of the trials had shifted. Elior's presence challenged the assumptions of the court. Aliens who had relied on superiority and status found themselves outmatched by a human who had nothing but determination and moral clarity. The story of his courage and insight began to spread quietly through the halls, inspiring some and frustrating others. The night in the garden was calm, the bioluminescent plants glowing softly, reflecting in the crystal pools. Elior and the Queen walked among the paths, discussing life, survival, and the nature of courage. He shared stories of humans helping one another, finding hope in dire situations, and thriving in environments that seemed impossible. The Queen began to understand that the human before her was not ordinary. His ability to adapt, think clearly under pressure, and act morally in every situation revealed a kind of strength that transcended technology, wealth, or status. It was a strength rooted in character, resilience, and courage. By the time the moon rose above the twin suns, casting a gentle glow over the city, Elior had left a lasting impression. He had survived the trials so far, not through power, but through heart and mind. The Queen recognized that humans possessed qualities she had never fully appreciated before. And so, the second part of the trials ended, setting the stage for even greater challenges. The human had proven himself capable in ways the aliens had not expected, and the Queen's curiosity and respect for him continued to grow. The story of Elior, the human who dared to answer the alien Queen, was only beginning, and the galaxy would soon take notice of the courage, wisdom, and humanity he represented. The next morning, the crystal city glimmered under the twin suns, brighter than ever. Elior stood on the observation platform, overlooking the grand hall where the final trials would soon take place. Today would not test physical skill or empathy alone. The last trial was designed to challenge judgment, leadership, and wisdom, the qualities that would determine whether a suitor was truly fit to stand beside the alien queen. Elior's heart beat steadily. He had succeeded in the previous trials through observation, courage, and compassion, but this challenge was different. It would test his ability to make quick decisions that could affect many lives, not simulations or holograms, but living, breathing beings in a controlled environment designed to simulate real danger. The queen had said nothing about the details, only that he must proceed when called. The grand hall filled once again with suitors, though most had been eliminated during the first two trials. The remaining few looked at Elior with suspicion, disbelief, and a touch of envy. They had underestimated him before, but now the evidence of his resilience and wisdom could not be ignored. He was no ordinary human. He had survived challenges that even the most accomplished alien nobles had failed. The queen appeared at the center of the arena, floating gracefully as her robes shimmered with living light. "Today," she said, her voice echoing across the hall, "you will face the test of leadership and wisdom. You will be presented with a crisis. How you respond will determine not only your worthiness, but the lives of many." The arena transformed. A holographic city appeared, identical in every detail to her own crystal city. The sky darkened as simulated twin suns dimmed and storms rolled across the holographic horizon. Buildings trembled with simulated seismic activity. Emergency signals flashed, and holographic citizens ran through the streets in panic. The alien suitors immediately activated their devices, sending fleets of drones and robotic assistants to handle the crisis. They relied on algorithms, predictive models, and pre-programmed strategies. Their confidence was high, but the complexity of the scenario quickly overwhelmed their machines. Unexpected variables, sudden changes in the environment, and the unpredictability of living beings caused their systems to fail repeatedly. Elior stepped forward, unarmed and unassisted. He scanned the city, observing the pattern of the storm, the movement of the citizens, and the structural weaknesses of the buildings. Unlike the aliens, he did not rely on technology. He relied on instinct, observation, and careful reasoning, the same skills that had allowed humans to survive death worlds for generations. He began directing the holographic citizens. Some were guided to safer buildings. Others were encouraged to help neighbors, forming spontaneous teams that could work together to mitigate damage. He used his knowledge of physics, gravity, and balance to predict how structures would react to the storm, positioning people where they could survive. The queen watched silently, noting every action. She had seen intelligence and power before, but this was something different, a combination of observation, empathy, courage, and decision-making under pressure. Elior did not seek glory or recognition. He focused only on the people in need, the living beings whose survival depended on him. As the crisis unfolded, the alien suitors faltered. Their machines could not adapt to unexpected changes. Some tried to hack the system or force solutions, but their rigidity caused chaos. Meanwhile, Elior's calm demeanor and quick thinking allowed him to anticipate problems and solve them before they escalated. One building, weakened by the storm, began to collapse. A group of citizens was trapped inside. Elior rushed forward, analyzing the structure's weak points. Using his knowledge of leverage and weight distribution, he guided the citizens safely through a narrow escape route, avoiding panic and ensuring no one was left behind. A murmur ran through the assembled court. They had expected failure. Humans were supposed to be weak, unpredictable, and fragile. Yet here was one demonstrating patience, intelligence, and courage far beyond expectation. Even those who had doubted him could not deny the effectiveness of his actions. The final phase of the trial introduced an unexpected twist. A holographic fire erupted in a densely populated district, spreading rapidly. The alien suitors hesitated, unsure how to respond. Their machines failed to navigate the chaos. Some considered abandoning the simulation, declaring it impossible. Ilior did not pause. He assessed the wind patterns, available routes, and the abilities of the citizens. He organized evacuation lines, coordinated assistance, and even used small environmental factors to guide the fire spread away from the most vulnerable. The Queen's expression shifted. There was admiration now, tempered with curiosity. She had never seen a being react to crisis in such a human, organic way. His methods were neither the fastest nor the flashiest, but they were effective, compassionate, and intelligent. He combined courage with wisdom and leadership, qualities she had long valued above all else. As the simulation ended, the holographic city stabilized. Every citizen had survived. The alien suitors stared in shock. None had managed to save all the holographic citizens, and most had created additional hazards through their rigid approaches. Ilior, however, had succeeded without the aid of machines or status, relying only on his mind, his observation, and his compassion. The Queen approached him in the garden again, away from the court's eyes. "You have shown strength and courage," she said, "but more than that, you have shown wisdom and heart. How do you manage to act so decisively under pressure?" Ilior thought for a moment. "We humans learn to survive because we have no choice," he said simply. "We face impossible odds every day. On my homeworld, the environment is harsh, predators are deadly, and resources are scarce. We adapt, we care for one another, and we make decisions quickly because hesitation can be fatal. I suppose I carry that with me wherever I go." The Queen nodded, her eyes thoughtful. "Humans are remarkable," she said softly. "I have seen beings of great power and intellect, but few with the balance of mind and heart that you demonstrate." Outside the garden, the court was in turmoil. Aliens debated and argued, unwilling to accept that a human, a species they had long dismissed, had outperformed centuries of experience, training, and advanced technology. The whispers of admiration, envy, and disbelief spread like wildfire. Ilior walked calmly through the garden, reflecting on the trials. He had faced challenges that others would have considered impossible. He had survived through observation, empathy, and courage. More importantly, he had acted not for recognition, but for what he believed was right. That quality, the Queen realized, was something rare and powerful in the galaxy. As the evening approached, the Queen gathered the suitors for a final audience. The arena transformed into a platform floating high above the city, with the stars and twin moons visible in every direction. It was a place of reflection and judgment, where decisions were made and fates determined. "Many have come seeking my hand," the Queen began, her voice carrying across the platform, "bringing power, wealth, and influence. Yet only one has shown the qualities I truly value: courage, wisdom, empathy, and heart. One has demonstrated the strength to protect, the insight to guide, and the moral clarity to act rightly even under pressure." Her gaze settled on Ilior. "You, human, have shown that your species is capable of extraordinary strength, far beyond what appearances suggest. You have faced trials that tested not only skill but character, and you have prevailed. The galaxy has long underestimated humans, yet today you have shown what they are truly capable of." The court fell silent. Aliens who had doubted him could only watch in awe. A human, unarmed, unassisted, and ordinary in appearance, had proven himself worthy of the alien Queen's respect and admiration. Ilior knelt, not out of submission, but in respect for the Queen and for the trials he had completed. "I do not seek to be admired," he said quietly. "I only wish to do what is right." The Queen studied him for a long moment, then smiled softly. "That is precisely why you are worthy," she said. "Many would act for power, prestige, or fear. You act for others, and that is the greatest strength of all." As the twin moons rose above the crystal spires, casting a gentle light across the floating platforms, Elior realized the full weight of what had occurred. He had not only survived impossible trials, but had done so in a way that revealed the true nature of humanity: courageous, adaptable, wise, and compassionate. The story of a human who dared answer the alien queen, who had outperformed centuries of alien experience and skill, began to spread through the galaxy. Whispers of admiration and disbelief followed him wherever he went. He had proven that humans, often underestimated, could achieve extraordinary feats when guided by heart and intellect. The queen led him to the balcony of the grand hall. Below, the city sparkled with life, and ships from distant worlds continued to arrive, unaware of the legend unfolding above. She spoke softly, almost to herself, yet loud enough for Elior to hear. Perhaps the galaxy has misjudged humans for far too long. They are capable of far more than I ever imagined. Elior looked at her, understanding the unspoken weight in her words. It was not merely admiration, it was recognition, the kind that changed perceptions, shifted alliances, and redefined what strength truly meant. The trials had ended, but the story was far from over. Elior had passed tests that few could have survived, yet greater challenges awaited. He had shown courage, wisdom, and empathy, but the path ahead would demand even more. He knew that the galaxy and the alien queen herself would now watch him closely, expecting greatness. And yet he felt no fear. He had faced what seemed impossible and had succeeded. He had demonstrated that humans were more than mere survivalists. They were thinkers, leaders, and moral beings capable of extraordinary feats. The Queen's respect was now undeniable, and the eyes of the galaxy were turning toward humanity in awe and curiosity. In that moment, Elior understood the true meaning of courage, not the absence of fear, but the ability to act rightly, decisively, and with heart, even when the odds were overwhelming. That was the legacy he would carry forward, and the legacy he would show to the galaxy: that humans, though ordinary in appearance, could achieve greatness through resilience, morality, and unwavering determination. The day after the final trial in the Grand Hall, the alien court was in an uproar. The human, Elior, had survived every test, acted with courage, wisdom, and heart, and had proven a quality no other being had shown. Yet, many of the nobles refused to accept the outcome. Some whispered that the trials had been rigged, others argued that humans were unpredictable and dangerous, and a few quietly admired his courage. The tension in the city was palpable, as if the very air anticipated the next stage of the Queen's decision. Elior did not concern himself with whispers. He had come here to act rightly and to demonstrate the value of humanity. He had succeeded in every test presented to him, yet he knew the court would not yield easily. The aliens were accustomed to hierarchy, power, and tradition. They could not imagine that someone so ordinary by their standards could outperform centuries of elite training. The Queen summoned him once again to her private garden. The bioluminescent plants glowed softly in the sunlight, and the pools of crystal water shimmered with reflections of the twin suns. The garden floated above the city, a place of calm where decisions could be considered without the interference of the restless court. "You have impressed me," the Queen said, her voice gentle yet commanding. "But the court struggles to accept that a human could display the qualities they value most. They doubt you because of appearance and species, not because of ability." Elior bowed slightly. "I expected nothing less," he replied. "I am aware that humans are often underestimated. I only hope my actions speak louder than words." The Queen regarded him with quiet admiration. "They have watched your courage, your empathy, and your wisdom. Yet they continue to cling to their expectations. Perhaps you should demonstrate one final act, not as a trial, but as a testament to your character." Elior nodded. He understood the weight of what she asked. This was not about proving himself against machines, puzzles, or simulations. This was about demonstrating the human spirit to beings who had never truly known it. The queen led him to the central platform of the city. Below, a holographic scenario unfolded, an alien settlement in chaos. Supplies were limited, storms raged, and the inhabitants panicked. The aliens in the court expected that this would be the human-s undoing, that he would fail where their technology and experience might succeed. Ilior observed calmly. He did not rush. He did not rely on tools. He began by speaking to the holographic inhabitants, offering guidance and reassurance. He organized groups to protect the most vulnerable, directing them to safer zones. He used logic and intuition to anticipate problems before they arose. The alien nobles watched in disbelief. Their machines had struggled, their strategies had failed, and yet the human moved with purpose and clarity. He was not fast, but he was precise. He was not loud, but his influence was unmistakable. Each decision he made saved lives, prevented chaos, and maintained order. Suddenly, the scenario escalated. A massive storm threatened the city's core, where the most critical systems were located. The alien suitors hesitated, unsure how to respond. Some attempted to interfere, offering advice or deploying devices, but Ilior continued to act decisively, prioritizing the lives and safety of the inhabitants over all else. He guided them to emergency shelters, ensured that essential resources were distributed fairly, and even improvised simple tools to stabilize critical systems. His actions were not driven by ego or desire for recognition. They were driven by purpose and understanding, qualities the queen had long valued above all else. The queen's eyes softened as she watched him. "You do not act for yourself," she murmured. "You act for others, and that is a strength many lack." As the storm subsided, the simulation ended. Every holographic inhabitant had survived, and the city remained intact. The court was silent. Aliens who had doubted him could not hide their astonishment. A human, so seemingly ordinary, had demonstrated a combination of courage, wisdom, empathy, and leadership that surpassed the expectations of centuries of elite training. Ilior stepped forward, breathing steadily. He had not sought praise, yet the recognition from the queen's gaze was more than enough. He had proven, through action and character, that humans could rise above the assumptions of others and achieve greatness. The queen led him back to the garden, where the floating lights reflected the colors of the twin suns. "You have shown what humans are capable of," she said. "You have faced impossible challenges and succeeded without arrogance, without seeking glory, and without deceit. That is rare, even among the most accomplished beings in the galaxy." Ilior listened quietly. "I only did what I could," he said. "I cannot claim more than that. But I have learned that courage, understanding, and integrity are always more powerful than appearance or status." The queen smiled, a gesture that held centuries of wisdom and authority. "Indeed. And yet, the court will still challenge this truth. They will resist accepting it because it changes their perception of the galaxy. Humans are no longer the species they assumed them to be. They are extraordinary." The following days were tense. The alien court debated endlessly. Some argued that no human could be worthy of the queen, citing history and prejudice. Others quietly admitted that the human had demonstrated abilities they had not expected. Ilior, however, remained calm, continuing his daily routines and preparing for whatever challenge might come next. One morning, the queen summoned him once more. She had observed his behavior, his humility, and his dedication, and had made her decision. She led him to the central chamber where the court awaited. The room was vast, filled with beings from countless worlds, all eager to witness the queen's choice. "Many have come seeking my hand," the queen began, her voice resonating with authority, bringing power, wealth, and fear. "Yet only one has demonstrated the qualities I truly value: courage, wisdom, empathy, and heart. One has shown the ability to act rightly, decisively, and with care for others, even under immense pressure." Her gaze fell on Elior. The room grew silent. The whispers and debates ceased as every being recognized the weight of her words. She continued, "You, human, have proven that your species is capable of greatness beyond expectation. You have faced trials that many could not, and you have succeeded not through dominance or force, but through heart and mind." Elior felt a mixture of awe and humility. He had come here as an ordinary human, unsure if he could stand among the galaxy's most accomplished beings. Yet through courage, observation, and integrity, he had demonstrated that humans were not to be underestimated. The court watched in silence as the queen approached him. "Do you understand the gravity of what you have done?" she asked softly. "I do," Elior replied, "and I do not take it lightly. I have acted as best I could, and I hope that my actions demonstrate the true nature of humanity." The queen nodded. "They do, more than any words could. You have not only proven yourself to me, but you have reminded the galaxy that strength lies not only in power or wealth, but in courage, wisdom, and integrity. You are worthy, and your example will be remembered for generations." For the first time, the court fully accepted what had happened. Even those who had doubted him could not deny the evidence of his actions. A human, so simple in appearance, had shown qualities that no other being had demonstrated. Courage, intelligence, empathy, and leadership, all combined in one individual, had reshaped the perception of humanity across the galaxy. Elior looked around the chamber, seeing the astonishment and admiration in the eyes of beings from countless worlds. He understood that this moment was not just about him. It was about proving the value of his entire species. Humans were often underestimated, dismissed as weak or insignificant, yet here he had shown what they could achieve when guided by heart and mind. The queen extended her hand. "Do you accept this responsibility?" she asked. Elior took a deep breath. "I do," he said. "I will act with integrity, courage, and care as I have throughout these trials." A hush fell over the court. The alien queen, ruler of a galaxy-spanning empire, had chosen a human. It was a moment that would be remembered in every star system, a turning point in the perception of humanity. As the twin moons rose above the crystal towers, Elior felt a sense of quiet fulfillment. He had faced trials that others had thought impossible, demonstrated the qualities that defined his species, and earned the respect of one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Yet he remained humble, aware that the path ahead would require continued courage, wisdom, and integrity. The story of a human who dared to answer the alien queen, who had outperformed centuries of alien training and technology, began to spread far and wide. Whispers of admiration, awe, and disbelief followed him wherever he went. He had proven that humans, though ordinary in appearance, could achieve extraordinary feats when guided by character, intelligence, and heart. And so, the stage was set for the final chapter. Elior had earned the respect of the queen and the court, but the ultimate choice, the acceptance of humanity's place alongside the galaxy's most accomplished beings, was yet to be fully realized. The final moment would not only decide his fate, but would leave a legacy that reshaped how the galaxy viewed humans forever. The final day of the gathering arrived. The twin suns cast a golden light across the crystal city, making the towers glow like liquid fire. Ships from distant star systems filled the skies, carrying beings who had come to witness history unfold. The story of the human, Elior, had already spread throughout the galaxy. A simple trader from a harsh death world had dared to answer the alien queen's question, had passed impossible trials, and had proven qualities no alien suitor had matched. The grand hall was packed. The alien court, the suitors, and thousands of spectators floated or stood upon the suspended platforms. Every eye was on the queen, and the human who had dared to stand among the most accomplished beings of the galaxy. Elior walked calmly to the center, feeling the weight of the moment but not fear. He had prepared himself for challenges, But he did not need to act to impress anyone now. His actions had already spoken for him. The queen appeared above the central platform, her robes of living light shimmering in the sunlight. Her presence commanded silence and respect. She looked down at Elior with a mixture of admiration and thoughtfulness. "Many have sought my hand over the centuries," she began, her voice carrying clearly across the hall. "Some have offered wealth, power, or armies. Others have sought glory or influence. Yet few have demonstrated the qualities I truly value." Her gaze swept over the court. "Today, one being has shown courage beyond measure, wisdom in thought and action, and a heart guided by compassion and integrity. One being has faced trials that would overwhelm the most accomplished among us and emerged not only unbroken, but wiser and stronger for it." All eyes turned to Elior. He stood silently, neither bowing nor asserting himself. His presence alone commanded respect, because he had proven that humans, often dismissed and underestimated, could rise above expectation through character, intelligence, and courage. "You have demonstrated that humans are capable of greatness," the queen continued, "not through wealth, power, or force, but through the strength of mind and heart. You have faced every challenge with honesty, clarity, and compassion. You have acted with the courage that is rare even among the most accomplished beings in the galaxy." Elior felt the full weight of her words. He had survived trials of skill, empathy, and leadership. He had outperformed beings who relied on centuries of experience and advanced technology. He had not sought recognition, only to act rightly, yet here he stood as a symbol of humanity's potential. The court murmured in awe and disbelief. Some aliens could not hide their astonishment. Others quietly acknowledged the truth they had long refused to accept. A human, so seemingly ordinary, had proven the exceptional strength of his species. The queen descended slowly to stand before Elior. Her eyes, holding the depth of galaxies, met his. "Do you understand the responsibility of what you have achieved?" she asked softly. "I do," Elior replied. "I have acted as I believed was right. I understand that my actions reflect not only on myself but on humanity as a whole. I will continue to act with courage, integrity, and care." The queen's expression softened. "And that is why you are worthy." She turned to the court, her voice commanding once more. "Let it be known throughout the galaxy. This human has earned my respect, not because of force or wealth but because of character. He has faced trials beyond expectation and has proven the true strength of his species." A hush fell over the hall. Aliens who had doubted him could no longer deny what they had witnessed. A human, ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in action, had achieved recognition that few beings of any species had ever attained. The queen extended her hand. "Elior," she said, "do you accept the role that comes with this recognition?" Elior took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I do," he said. "I will act with the courage, wisdom, and heart that have brought me this far. I will honor the responsibility that comes with your trust." The queen nodded, a small smile on her lips. "Then let it be recorded that a human has earned a place of respect and recognition within my court, and that the galaxy will remember this day." The crowd erupted in murmurs, whispers, and awe. For centuries, humans had been underestimated, dismissed as fragile or insignificant. Today, that perception had been shattered. A simple human had proven that courage, empathy, and integrity could surpass wealth, power, and advanced technology. Elior's thoughts turned to his homeworld. He remembered the harsh climates, the predators, and the scarcity that had shaped him and his people. It was that environment that had forged his instincts, his courage, and his understanding of responsibility. He realized now that what he had learned in the death worlds of humanity had prepared him for this moment, to act decisively, and with heart in a galaxy full of beings who had long believed themselves superior. The queen led him to a balcony overlooking the city. Below, the towers of crystal gleamed in the light, ships hovered in the sky, and beings from countless worlds observed in wonder. "Do you see, human?" she asked. "The galaxy will never underestimate your species again. You have set a precedent that cannot be ignored." Ilior nodded quietly. "I hope that humans will continue to prove themselves worthy, not just through action, but through the choices they make." The queen smiled. "That is what I believe. You have demonstrated that greatness comes not from appearances, but from the courage to act rightly, the wisdom to guide, and the heart to care." The alien court, now fully attentive, witnessed a moment of history. They had come expecting spectacle, competition, and perhaps entertainment, but what they received was a lesson. The true measure of a being lay not in wealth, power, or influence, but in character, courage, and integrity. Ilior had become more than a human. He had become a symbol, a testament to the extraordinary potential of his species. As the day turned to evening, the twin moons reflected off the towers, casting a soft glow over the city. Ilior stood beside the queen, no longer a mere participant in trials, but a recognized figure of respect and honor. The court had seen what humans could achieve when guided by heart and mind, and the galaxy would carry that lesson forward. The queen addressed the assembly one final time. "Let this day mark a turning point in the perception of humans. They have shown courage beyond measure, wisdom in action, and compassion that surpasses expectation. Let all beings understand that greatness is not determined by birth, wealth, or technology, but by character and action." The assembly erupted in quiet awe and acceptance. Aliens who had doubted now looked at humans differently, inspired and humbled by what they had witnessed. A new chapter in interstellar relations had begun, one in which humans would be recognized not for their limitations, but for their potential and resilience. Ilior stood quietly, reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. He had faced impossible trials, outperformed the galaxy's finest, and demonstrated the true strength of humanity. Yet he remained humble, aware that this recognition came with responsibility. He would continue to act with integrity, courage, and compassion, not just for himself, but for all those who would follow in humanity's path. The queen turned to him, her expression thoughtful and warm. "Ilior, you have proven yourself in ways no one could have predicted. The galaxy will remember this day, and humanity will be seen in a new light because of you." "I will do my best to honor that trust," Ilior replied. The twin moons rose high above the crystal city, illuminating the towers, the floating platforms, and the ships hovering in the skies. Across the galaxy, the story of a human who dared to answer the alien queen, who had faced impossible trials and emerged victorious through courage, wisdom, and heart, began to spread. The tale would inspire countless generations, showing that humans were more than their appearance, more than their technology, more than anyone had imagined. And in the quiet of the queen's garden, Ilior realized the truth of what he had achieved. Greatness was not measured by power or status, but by the choices made when the odds were impossible. By acting rightly, with courage, integrity, and compassion, even one human could change the perception of the galaxy and leave a legacy that would endure for centuries. The court dispersed, the crowds returned to their ships, and the city continued its daily rhythm, yet the memory of this day lingered. Beings from countless worlds would carry the story of the human who dared to stand before the alien queen and prove the extraordinary potential of his species. Ilior, standing beside the queen, felt a quiet pride, not in himself, but in humanity. He had shown that even the most underestimated species could achieve greatness through character, courage, and heart. And as the stars shimmered in the sky above the crystal city, he knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had seen the value of humanity, and nothing would ever be the same again. The queen smiled, sensing the weight of the moment. "Ilior, you have shown what humans can be. You have faced impossible odds and acted with integrity and courage. Your example will guide many, and humanity will be remembered for what it truly is: resilient, wise, and strong. Elior nodded. He understood that his journey had changed more than his own life. It had changed the way the galaxy saw his people, and perhaps it would inspire countless humans to act with courage, wisdom, and heart in their own worlds. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, leaving the city bathed in soft twilight. The story of a human who dared to answer the alien queen had reached its peak, but the legacy of that courage would endure. And in the quiet reflection of that twilight, Elior felt a sense of fulfillment and purpose, knowing that humanity had taken its place in the galaxy, not through domination, but through heart, wisdom, and unyielding courage.